Well, hello everybody. Check this out. Now, if you've seen the new Universal Studios, like clips of the ride at Universal, you'll see that, you know, Frankenstein is being charged. And we're going to do the same thing right here at the Darkness. And we're going to talk about that. But I gotta turn the lights on because it's dark in here. Now, we're here at the Darkness, and here I am, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what we're doing here in the Darkness. So let me get these stupid things out of my ear. This is the tree that's inside that room. We had to remove it to get that big Frankenstein in. And this is all the junk that was pulled out of the room. And this is just kind of an experiment. You'll notice that 3 lines of this are not working. I don't know why. Whoops, hold on a second. I don't know why. But let's go in and see what we're doing. Now, we bought that Frankenstein, that Bo from Unit 70 made, and it's probably the best sculpture he's ever done. When I say ever, I mean ever. That's like the coolest. I don't think it's the coolest animation he's ever made, but it's definitely the coolest sculpture he's ever made. It's so detailed. That's a fun, that Bo just showed you that, like, he's a whole nother level of sculptor, because the detail on that Frankenstein is so sick, so crazy. And I want to say this because we've been talking about viral videos at the show and how they're not happening. And you know, the Frankenstein, he was like the single most viral prop, but he didn't go viral. Why? Because he doesn't do a lot. He's just super cool to look at, but he doesn't do a lot. So he just kind of moves and grunts, okay? And when you think about the ones that went viral, like the Pennywise, but that's a static one. When you think about why that one went viral, well, because he had the kicking, screaming kid in his hand. See it over there? And it was funny. Okay, it was, people like horror, people like animations, but it was funny. When you look at it, you're like, that's cool, that's funny, that's hilarious. Well, the video of us having the coffin flying down the steps, it got 50 million, 52 million, not to mention the fact that people stole it and got 50 million more. One guy got over 50 million on his own, okay? Because it was funny. It was funny. And you know, people today, they need to laugh, okay, a little bit, because we've got literally lunatics running around burning Teslas to the ground. And I mean, they're lunatics. They're flat out lunatics. Like, they don't have anything better to do. Like, take a walk, go fishing, get in your car, go see somebody, knock on your neighbor's door and have some coffee, some tea. No! Let's go burn down Teslas. I mean, it's ridiculous. People need a laugh. They need humor. People like that. And when you mix animatronics and humor and just absolute coolness, you get something that goes viral. Spinning it around to this Frankenstein, let's talk about the Frankenstein just for a second, and then we'll go in and we'll see what's going on. So I'm gonna tell you something, and we're going to talk about when you're renovating your haunt and you're trying to get your haunt up to snuff. It's okay to change your mind. And by the way, look at these cool posters. We went to the Oddity show. Let's take a look at this. Let's just have a peek. Look at these cool posters. Look at that. These are so neat. The Brat Pack. Look at these. Are these cool or what? This is what I like. He is depraved, sadistic, bloodthirsty, homicidal killer, and he makes house calls. Dr. Butcher. That's funny. Planet of the Apes. Let's all go to the movies. Mars needs women. Of course they do. So they're gonna steal ours. Vampirella. Plan 9 from Outer Space. And I have a few more over there in the car. Okay, I plan on getting these framed. But let's talk about a couple things. So when I saw this Frankenstein, and I want you to know right off the bat, this conversation today, and you know, really, should I just start a podcast? Would this be easier? And just like talk about just random things? I could talk about anything. I don't need to talk about Halloween. I would love to talk about politics, because I think that people need some common sense injected into their lives. You know, because right now the big thing going on is talking about tariffs. You know, it's like the United States needs manufacturing, and any idiot who says we don't, I mean, they're complete fools. We won World War II because we could put a new boat in the water every day. We could make 50 tanks. Germany could make one at the same time. We made 30 bombers. They made one airplane. Okay, we have to have manufacturing in this country. And you know what else we need? We need to be able to make our own medicine. In case something bad happens, we need to be able to take care of the people of this country. So yes, we do need to bring manufacturing back. We have to. We have to, because, you know, and it's just so interesting to hear people say that we don't need to do that. We do. We do. We don't need to bring all, we don't need to make toasters, but we need to make medicine. We need to be able to make steel, right? It's interesting. These are non-college educated jobs where they still pay full health care benefits. This is called the working class job. We need working class jobs in this country. And so, I don't know, like, should I just start a podcast and just talk about this stuff? Talk about Halloween, talk about sports. I mean, geez, I'd love to talk about just about anything where you can have a great conversation. And so, but anyway, I bought this Frankenstein, just kind of bringing it back to Halloween. I bought this Frankenstein for a reason. Because when Bo sent me a picture of it, I was like, immediately I said to myself, I gotta have it. And by the way, the reason why I brought up the bringing manufacturing jobs, because this video is not about bringing up manufacturing jobs. It's about common sense, okay? That's why I brought it up, because it's just common sense that we need to make medicine in the United States. Just like when I put my video up about vendors and I talked about how we don't have anything at Transworld going viral. People said, oh, viral doesn't, and I think Dan Dobler was one of the people who said it, and William from right here in St. Louis said it. You know, that viral videos don't necessarily mean that the product's gonna sell. Well, absolutely it does. Stuff doesn't go viral because it's not popular. If something goes viral, a product, well, that means it's selling. And look, there's Alex right there walking in. Say hi, Alex. Hi. We're talking about Frankenstein.
Are you live right now?
No.
What are you doing? Just making a video?
Yeah, we're making a video.
You're talking about Frankenstein, huh?
Yeah, we're talking about Frankenstein. We're talking about vendors and how products need to go viral. Don't you agree that if a product goes viral, that means it's freaking cool as shit?
Well, yeah, I'd say so.
What's the last thing at Transworld do you think was worthy of going viral? You gotta think, don't you?
Yeah.
Hard to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Can't think offhand.
Yeah, you can't think offhand. Well, I know the last one that went mega viral, and it was that Pennywise over there. And it's because it was cool, it was very neat looking, it did a lot of cool stuff, and it was funny. and it was funny.
Come with me. You want to talk about mega viral? A way mega viral video happened right over there. That's what we should talk about.
What was that? What happened?
Right outside those doors right there?
Yeah?
That's where the coffin came sliding out the door.
Oh, yes. Yes. Hundreds of millions of views. It was funny. It was funny. And by the way, I don't think it's a bad thing if vendors make products that are horrific, but they're also funny. Okay? And we got to think about that. They're funny. They're really cool. And they're really great. But I just want to say this about especially the people making animatronics. You got to start making your own art. You got to find somebody that you can hire to do custom props. If you're not making custom props for your animations, it's just like it's run of the mill. It's run of the mill. It's like anybody could do that has a welder and knows how to make an animatronic. We want to see stuff that we can't make ourselves. The haunted house industry is full of do-it-yourselfers. So you get some metal, you cut it, you weld it together, you get a Fright Ideas controller, and you're making a thrashing around prop. Anybody can do that. But you know what they can't do? Do you know what they can't do? Is sculpt something.
Did you show off the controllers?
Yeah, and by the way, see, look, right there, we just got this shipment in.
Oh, I thought you showed them off.
No, I didn't show them off.
Oh, I thought I had paper there.
But you know what? By the way, switching subjects, look at how look how organized this guy is. He's been here, and look at this. He's just organizing everything. Is there something to keeping everything organized?
Keeping it organized. So I'm going to leave this place, and this won't last long.
It will.
Everywhere I go, it happens everywhere I go. That's why these are on carts. Hopefully they stay together.
Hopefully they stay together. Okay.
Yeah.
And in our secret bar, we're working on getting a prop working. He had to steal something from this one, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like going to a junkyard.
I think Gene took the eyes out of there for something else. Or maybe one of the guys in the escape room, probably. I think this guy's completely stripped now. We had a full rebuild.
Well, here is what I'm talking about. When you can sculpt something as good as that, it really doesn't matter what it does or doesn't do. Because when you can make that move, like that's next level. Okay? You know why people think it's next level? Because it looks super cool. When you can sculpt something as cool as this, and basically, let's think about this. It's 2 feet, 2 hands, and a head, and some tentacles. His body is steel, I guess, wrapped in foam. You have to be able to make your own art if you're going to make animatronics work. And look at that Krampus. I mean, look, come on now. That's just next level stuff. And that's why it goes viral. That's why it sells. That's why people go out of their way to get it. That's why people are ordering earlier and earlier and earlier every single year from this company. And really, if we're being completely fair, the only company that really, other than Unit 70, that makes their own art is Scare Factory. And we're talking about for animatronics. And when you look around the show, there's tons and tons of prop makers making original props and whatnot. Why aren't they married with animatronics? That's a good question. If you have the ability to make your own art, why are you making static figures? And I'm just going to say this to Ghost Ride, to Dusk Productions, to Rib Effects, and the list goes on, right? And I'll just say this because it's true. What's that company called? Hey, Alex, what's that company called that works for Hell's Gate? He makes all them vampires. Original Sin. Anthony Glenn, Original Sin. First off, he's an amazing guy. He's an amazing artist. 100%. Now, can you imagine him making animations with literally no change whatsoever to what they do that you see all these other people making animations? Think about that for 1 second. You have something that shakes and thrashes around or tries to stab you or whatever, and he makes that versus somebody else who makes it, who just buys the heads and hands from someone else. That is what you need. People are tired of buying some metal and it thrashes around and it does not have original art and it doesn't look that cool, okay? But imagine if Original Sin, just for a second, if he made a coffin and an animation, like a bride jumps out, and that would be super cool. Imagine if there was an animation where, you know, a bride, now here's a really cool idea, and it would be funny and it would go viral. Imagine for a second, just for a second, that somebody took an Original Sin animation, or no, one of their vampires, and it was sitting in a coffin, and it came with a Van Helsing, and he's literally just freaking stabbing her in the heart with a stake, and then the vampire just literally fog starts shooting up behind her. She's thrashing around and, you know, vomiting out of her mouth. Okay, that animation would be hilarious, and that would absolutely go viral. Okay, and it could also be a scare, because immediately he stabs her and strobe lights go off, and she starts thrashing around with really loud music. So she's being killed. And it could even be vertical, or it could be horizontal. She could be in the coffin and he could just be stabbing her in the heart. We haven't seen anybody make an animation like that. Not super complicated. Now imagine doing that with Original Sins, with their art. Because I can tell you this right now, if Original Sin, if that guy picked up the phone and he called me and he called a couple other people and he said, hey, you've seen what I have, how could I turn some of these into animatronics? If that guy got together with a fabricator and they just started making, even if he made 5 animations, holy schmoly, I can tell you this, the people who don't make original art, you might as well go out of business. Okay, just because you buy something from Distortions or you buy something from Midnight Studios or whatever, you might as well go out of business, because what's going to win every single time is original art. And I think going forward, the only companies that are going to do well are going to be the ones who deliver original art. Okay, even if that means that you partnered with Original Sin or you partnered with Ghost Ride, as an example, and you started making animatronics. And I would just say this, when you look at Ghost Ride Productions, you know, that's a company right there that is just ripe for becoming an animation company. If Ghost Ride was smart, okay, and I'm not saying he's not, but if he was smart, this is what he would do. He would find somebody in Boise, Idaho, that's a fabricator, and he would find a metal fabrication shop. He would develop like 6 or 7 animatronics using his best products he's ever had, and get a fabricator to do the prototypes of each and every single one. And then he would have a metal fabrication shop literally make all of the frames, so he didn't have to get into the welding business. And then literally he makes the prop, and then the fabricator guy puts it all together. And I'm not talking about the metal fabrication shop. I'm saying that he hires an animation person, okay? And he's got 1 or 2 other people, and they're assembling the animation. So he hires a metal fabrication shop to make the metal frames. So that gives him cost control, because he knows how much that's going to cost every single time. And then he's got his animation guys, maybe 1 or 2 guys, and some of his people dressing the animations. If Ghost Ride got in the animation business, I feel very confident that they would literally do some stomping out some of the people who don't provide original artwork. Does this make sense? So here's my point. Start making original art, if you're going to sell animations. I personally am not going to buy animations going forward unless it does something spectacular that I haven't seen before, something that would really scare you, or it's just gonna be like, oh man, I could buy that and I could put that in my haunt. That's something I could film and I can use it as content and it could go viral. That's what I think is most important. If you're a haunted house owner and your goal is to promote your haunted house, especially without paying for it, you want to have things in your haunt that you can film or that your guests can film that could go viral for you or be spread all over and shared and get lots of likes on Instagram or TikTok or even Facebook Reels or whatever it is, even YouTube Shorts, okay? This is a way to promote your business. You can actually promote your business buying animatronics, but I don't think you can do well with animatronics where you call a company, you order their hands, you order their heads, or their heads really aren't that cool, and you're just welding steel together and throwing a head and hands on it. If it doesn't do something we haven't already seen, and by the way, I would say that Poison Props is, for the most part, covered it all, okay? And you don't have original art. So let me backtrack. If you make something that we've already seen, a motion or a combination of motions, so like you look at some haunt animations that do really well and you go, I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna take that one, I'm gonna mix them together, but I'm gonna put original art on it, you have a hit on your hands, okay? Because it looks cooler. We are in the business of cool, okay? We are not in the business anymore of Metallica t-shirts, people running around trying to maul you, okay, with 5,000 holes in the wall. See, that's old school haunted house, where you let your actors demolish your haunted house by smashing on the walls. That's not the business we're in anymore. People want to be wowed, they want to be blown away, they want the wow factor, and everybody is thinking, where can I go to take cool videos, cool pictures, okay, with me being the star or whatever? Where can I get content to put on my social media? Well, first off, anything cool you do, you can put on your social media, but you want to have cool things that your guests can put on social media. Does this even make sense? So when we have people like Dan Dobler, no offense, Dan, okay, I have nothing against you. You don't own a haunted house, okay? As far as I know, you never have. And by the way, the same goes for you, William, even though I love you to death, but you just don't understand, okay? And I want to say this, okay, that there's a lot of people out there that talk about how to become successful in the haunted house business. And I have to say this, you know, because I was told that Transworld seminars, you know, the attendance, you know, how many people signed up for them was down. Hey, our haunt tour was down. The vendor said they were down. Okay, but when you have the same vendors, we can relate this to the show being down. When you have the same vendors, and I have to say this, and I know somebody's going to get upset with me, but you have like one particular person and he does every other seminar. And then there's another guy and he does every other seminar, okay? But then you get the same guy that does every other seminar and he gets his entire family and all of his staff to do the seminars. I mean, it's getting ridiculous, okay? People, and I'm not saying they don't have anything good to offer. What I'm saying is, this is the same thing every year. The seminars are exactly the same. How many times do we have to have, and I believe the seminar was put on by Tim Kavinsky. Look, I don't have nothing against Tim Kavinsky, but he does not own a haunted house, okay? And as far as I know, he hasn't owned one for years, okay? And I can tell you this, that the haunted house industry changes so drastically every single year. Everything changes, and it changes so fast. If you don't adapt and you don't change, you don't compete, okay? But I don't want to hear from somebody that had a haunted house 7 or 8 years ago or whatever it was, have a seminar called 60 Scares in 60 Minutes. How can you explain 60 scares in 60 minutes? That's not even possible. Not to mention the fact that wasn't that seminar done last year and the year before that and the year before that? I mean, like, how many times can you do the same thing before people just stop going? So it's not a slight on anyone in particular. it's just like, you've got to reinvent the show. You've got to reinvent what you bring to Transworld, or don't expect to sell it. Now, I can tell you this, because I'm going to tell you a fact. The biggest spender in the industry, period, is me. Okay, I went to the show and I didn't buy anything. I didn't buy a new costume. I didn't buy a new mask. And I had mask companies literally say, Larry, you didn't come by the booth this year. Hey, you didn't buy any new costumes this year. Hey, you know, would you like this? Would you like that? Like, no, I don't. I've already got like 500 of those things already. Why do I need 20 more? You've got to make new stuff. You've got to get on board here. You've got to get on the stick. Okay, and if you don't start calling vendor or the haunt owners to find out what in the hell we want made, I'm sorry. The vendors for the most part have run out of ideas. They just have. And and I'm not saying that what you have isn't good. And if I didn't have a haunt or I didn't have a lot of props, yeah, I would definitely buy your props. But let me give you another example that maybe you can understand. Right now, pinball machines, look, Alex, he's confused.
I'm just sitting here listening.
Okay, let me give you an example. Pinball machines, right now, the prices are way down. They're way down. They're in the dumps. You have to almost give away a pinball machine to sell it right now. But literally, 4 years ago, when the hobby exploded, you could sell them for ridiculous amounts of money. You know what was crazy? I literally told all my friends, now's the time to sell. You could sell everything for crazy money, and then I bet you in 2 years you could buy it all back for half the price. And basically, I was right. But let's talk about why people don't want to buy pinballs. Number one, the price went too high. The highest price now is $15,000, $12,000. It's too high. People don't have that kind of money, or they don't want to spend it. But let me tell you another reason why they're not spending crazy money on pinballs. Because they ran out of space. They ran out of space. You have to sell something to buy something. And a lot of people got in the hobby overnight during COVID, and they got like, you know, this really wasn't for me. And so you have less buyers, really, to be honest with you, and they ran out of space. They've only got 4 spots for a pinball machine. They got 6. Some people like literally move furniture out just to make 2 more spots, but now they don't have any more room. So when you think about haunted house props, how many dead bodies do I need? How many thrashing around animations do I need? I don't. Okay? And that's the point. Hopefully I'm getting through to somebody, okay? And I have to say this too, but Transworld needs to take the show and they need to reinvent it. They need to move it into that new wing and put all the haunts there and get them all together in the same spot. They need to reorganize the show and try to bring in a whole new set of buyers by expanding the show, hopefully with like family entertainment or something like that. I don't know, okay? But the seminars, they've got to drastically change. I think they need new people advising them on seminars. They need a new direction. They need more of a direction that helps haunt owners improve their business. We don't need 60 scares in 60 minutes. We just don't need it. And I can tell you this, and I'm just going to say it because it's true. Home haunters have tried to open haunts, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but they've tried and they failed. Or they learned the hard way. It's not as easy as it looks. And a lot of people are going to try to build props and animations because they can build them out of their garage. Okay? And guess what? They go to the show, they sell 2 or 3, and they go, wow, this is harder than it seems. Because when it comes to when it comes to being super successful like Unit 70 or Scare Factory, they both have something in common. They have original art. Why is Ghost Ride really successful? They have original art. Why is Original Sin really popular? Because it's original art. If you look at the companies that are really thriving, they all have original art. But that means they're sculpting it, they're making molds, and they're creating things from scratch. Now that rant is over, let me just say, at the darkness, we're gonna go full circle here on the Frankenstein. When I bought it, we took everything out and put it in there. And we literally just threw it in there and we said, oh yeah, this will just be cool in here. Once we got it in there, after we've done all that work, we realized, no, it wasn't cool. And it wasn't the proper way to display it. So when I come full circle on viral videos and viral animations, and why didn't the Frankenstein, I mean, it was the most viral thing from Transworld, but why didn't it go viral like those two sitting side by side, the Krampus and that? You know why? Because it's a torso. And you can see it as a torso when you just film it as an animation. You know what Frankenstein needs to go viral? It needs to have a set built for it. It needs to be properly displayed with good special effects, good lighting, great sound, and you need to be able to walk in that room and see him towering over you and leaning down. And that was very clear when we just took the animation, threw it in the haunted house just to have it in there. We said, it's got to come back out. It's got to come back out. So here's where we're at. We're building mini golfs, and we're taking a quick little break, just the carpenters, and we're building this scene out. And I have to give credit to my son, because when I was trying to figure out where to put it, he showed me where to put it. And he said, Dad, this is the most terrible room in the place. I went over there and I said, you know what? You're right. Let's take a look. This is behind the screens. Look, trees gone, everything's gone to get this behemoth through here. He's out, and we opened May the 3rd, and we had to take him out. Luckily, that stayed. And then here's the Frankenstein, okay? There he is. He is now officially in. Now, this little mummy area obviously doesn't make sense, but we're not going to touch it for right now. So we're going to put the Frankenstein right here. And you can see everything's torn out. This it was camo net. It's all gone. We don't know if this wall can stay or go. We're certainly not going to take that out. We have no time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this door out. We're going to build a wall, and it's going to come out and over, and there'll be a platform behind it, and Frankenstein will sit up in this space. You can see this is the best space to put it because there's nothing in the way of him. And he's going to be in the air, slanted down. So when you walk, you'll look up and you will see him. And then couple that with all that lighting that we were showing you. So the whole ceiling would be all over the place. And then we'll have really cool sound. And we're going to build a ceiling across here as well. Okay, and then we're gonna just have a wait and see. Well, do we need to put another wall in? Do we need to, you know, whatever. The first step is just to get the Frankenstein in, get the wall built. It'll have a scare box, so the actor will be able to walk out from underneath it. Okay, the Frankenstein will be up in the air. We'll get it painted, themed. Okay, so obviously that's all gonna be stone, clearly. So this wall is going to go here. There's going to be a stand. He's going to be up in the air, and he's going to be like up in there. He's going to look straight down at you. But then, what to do with this space here? We're just going to do a wait and see. We're going to get the first space done. We're going to get the Frankenstein up and done, the ceiling done. And then we'll figure out, like, hey, do we need to put another wall here? Do we need to do this? Do we need to do that? And we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out quickly. But you see Frankenstein's in here. Now, I just want to say that I know I'm a total and utter insane person, because we're opening in 2 weeks. We tear a perfectly working scene out, and didn't you just redo your museum? Didn't you just redo your gift store? Didn't you just build a brand new haunted house upstairs? Didn't you just put a bunch of animatronics in the darkness, or, you know, like prior to Transworld? Didn't you just build an alien escape? Why in the hell are you messing with this Frankenstein? Well, because, as I told you guys, I was thinking about it as a once in 10-year renovation. And I'm not going to stop. I'm going to literally see it through. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see it through. And I think it's important to see it through. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get it done. And when we come full circle on this conversation about viral videos, with all those lights, the electric going off, and some cool scenic, and that big Frankenstein looking down, not on the ground, but up in the air, and he's looking down at you, and you've got all this sound going off and everything else. Is that a spot where somebody could whip their camera out, take a video of this, upload it, and it possibly go viral? I'm gonna say yes. And you know, that's how you can grow your TikTok, that's how you can grow your Instagram, that's how you can grow your ticket sales. So that animation, I think that animation needs, like Bo gave you the tools, you just got to put it all together. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And you know what would have been a travesty? For me to put it in there like I did, leave it in there, and just on the ground, put something in front of it and let him go off. That would have been a tragedy. He's too freaking cool to do that. That's why we took him back out. That's the only reason he made it to Transworld, because we had to flip the other Frankenstein, the two-headed one that went into the darkness. We had to flip him in instead. And I think I'm right on this, that when it's completely done, it's going to look so freaking cool that it'll go viral. When you add in the lighting, you add the Frankenstein above your head, and you give him a really cool ceiling, and all the special effects and sound effects are going off. Yeah, I think it's going to go viral. Is that a bad thing? Like, who really thinks that's a bad thing? And I'm saying this to, like, you, William. Is that a bad thing? Dan Dobler? Because, like, Dan, seriously, like, you said, I think quoting you correctly, you said that just because something goes viral doesn't mean it's going to sell. Like, what are you talking about exactly? If someone makes a product and it goes viral, especially for the haunted house industry, then that means, hey, I need that in my haunt. Because that's how we're promoting the haunts now. And that's what I'm talking about when I say I don't want somebody speaking at Transworld. And there's one person in particular who did 2 seminars there this year. He doesn't own a haunt, never has owned a haunt, just calls himself a haunted consultant. And I'm not gonna say his name, but you guys can figure it out. What does this guy know? Nothing! In my opinion, he knows nothing. But he's a speaker, so he must know what he's talking about. And I'm not picking on him. What I am saying is, if you are trying to be successful in the haunted house business, you need to connect with your customers and give your customers opportunities to do things or see things or videotape things in your haunt that they in turn put out on the internet, and people go, where did you see that? I want to see that. I want to see that in person. That's super cool. Stuff goes viral in your haunt is a great thing, not a bad thing. And if I could go to Transworld and buy something that would go viral because it's super cool, you know that I'm going to buy that. 100%. But I'm just saying, as we talked to Alex over there, and we asked him, when's the last time you think a prop at Transworld went viral? He doesn't know. I can tell you one that I think might have gone viral was the cello player. And I can't remember if that was from Original Sin or was that from Beastcraft. I can't remember. But that was kind of cool. And it kind of went viral. And you know what? I forgot to videotape that myself to use it on my own Instagram, because that was super cool. The human cello player, that was super cool. Okay? But guess what it was? Original art. Just saying. Just saying. And you know, Beastcraft, speaking of you, you are a very talented artist, but a robot that has like a camera on his head, I don't know how many haunts want that. I'm just saying, okay? But you are very talented, and I would highly suggest that every vendor go out there and talk to haunt owners and just ask them point blank, what do you want? What do you need? What is it that you would like to have made that isn't for sale right now? Just saying. And hopefully I've answered the question and beat it into the ground for William, for Dan Dobler, and anyone else who doesn't understand what it takes to be successful in the haunted house business, and especially some of these speakers at Transworld that are experts, but they don't own or operate anything, nor have they ever, or if they have, it was 10 years ago. The haunt industry changes, and it's changed so drastically because we live in a digital world where everything is videotaped. Everything is, like when you get Google reviews now, you want them to upload photos. You want them to share their experiences on their social media. It's cool to get influencers to do it, but it's a whole nother, like one influencer or 1,000 people. Think about that. Anyway, hopefully you found this video to be entertaining, educational, and maybe some of you think, oh no, there he goes, he's ranting again. Well, you know what? How else am I supposed to get the point across? Because, like I've said before, 90% of the conversation is dominated by people who do not own a haunted house. And that doesn't mean that your opinion is invaluable. It just means it might not actually be the best advice, because you don't have the practical experience of having to renew a lease, workers' comp, pay employees, deal with, you know, elected officials, okay? I'm just saying, balance a budget, go through a season where it's not doing well or there's a lot of rain. It's totally different. Totally different. And there's Alex once again. And we're gonna do a video with Alex. Say hi, Alex.
Is this still the same video?
Yes, but we're wrapping it up right now.
Okay.
And by the way, the other reason why Frankenstein is gone, because I'm not in the business of collecting anymore. It's display in the haunted house. If it's gonna be a prop, it can be displayed here or it can be displayed in the haunted house. I choose to put it in the haunted house. And that's why we stopped everything to get Frankenstein in, and we're gonna try to do it the right way and not force it. And that is another tip for you. If it doesn't look right, do it over. You'll thank yourself in the morning. With that being said, we're gonna say goodbye to Alex over there.
Bye.
Bye. And we're gonna say happy haunting and goodbye.
Stay spooky.
And stay spooky, he said. Stay spooky.